Steve with Guitar Center. We're at NAMM 2024. We're in the Ernie Ball Music Man booth, and we're hanging out with Rabea. We're going to check out his new signature Sabre. Rabea, how you doing, man?
I'm very well, thank you.
Are you enjoying NAMM so far?
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been pretty chill. So I've been up in this peaceful room. But I had my demo on the booth earlier, which was the first performance is always a little nerve-wracking, but I think it went all right.
So when you were out there, I'm curious to know, everybody gathered around, what was sort of like the reaction to the new signature model?
It's been really positive, and I feel very grateful for that. So
that's really cool. So how does this come about? Does it start with a relationship with Ernie Ball? Do you get a Sabre and start playing it and get some ideas? How does that work?
Yeah, so I've worked with Derek from Ernie Ball for a long time. The first Music Man guitar that I got to spend some real time with was actually at a guitar center in Texas.
Nice.
I forget which one it was, but we were down there doing a clinic. And I saw one on the wall. It was the JP15, so I was like, oh, I really want one of those. So I asked if I could play it, and they let me have it to play, not to keep, obviously. Like, sat in there, and I was just playing away for a while. And then I believe, you know, after speaking with Derek a little while, they sent one across me to try, and I just fell in love with, like, the Music Man thing, which is the build quality is amazing. The finishing they do with the neck and the edges of the fretboard always just feel amazing. They feel kind of played in the best way. Do you know what I mean? Like breaking a new guitar can sometimes feel a bit sterile, whereas that really isn't the case with the Music Man stuff. You know, I've had Music Man guitars over the years and played them and used them. But in terms of how the relationship came about, it was actually a couple of NAMMs ago. I was chatting with Tosin Abassi, because he's awesome, such a nice dude. Yeah. And he sort of mentioned that he'd been out for dinner with Brian Ball and that my name came up in conversation, which I was just like, that's really weird, but like, that's kind of cool at the same time. And apparently Brian had said, yeah, I know Rabea, I'm like a big fan of what he does and like his, you know, his YouTube, his music, his playing, all this kind of thing, which I was just like, that's wild. So it felt really cool. I got chatting with Brian on Instagram, which is like the way people chat these days. It's like, we talked about the guitar, like the Sabre being the guitar that I really connected with because it's a bit bigger than other Music Man guitars. And for me, that's good because I'm like a big dude. I remember Drew sort of said to me over email, like, what would you change about the Sabre? If that's the guitar you really like, you know, like what would you change? I said, I'd probably prefer like a bigger neck. We'll mess around with like the spoon cut kind of thing, the contouring here and there and stuff. I'd probably have my own bare knuckle pickups in there, you know, little things like that. In any case, Ernie Ball at San Luis Obispo, and they surprised me with like an early prototype that they'd put together. I've said a lot of words, but basically it was really awesome, and that's where it started. So.
Nice. All right, well, with the specifics of the Sabre, maybe set the table for us as to like where it started as a stock and then how you changed the specific aspects.
So the Sabre, it's a double cut, double humbucker, you know, volume tone, 5-way switch. Like it's kind of a modern player's guitar. It's good for shreddy kind of stuff as well. Had a lot of different tonal variation, and they're also like high gloss finished. So the things that I wanted to sort of change or at least adapt to more my tastes were things like the fatter neck, the satin finish, you know, obviously the color, which is called Vileblood, because my favorite game ever is Bloodborne. But yeah, so that's the color. I put my own silos in there, my bare knuckle pickups. We also added these doughnut inlays. What's interesting is I'm not really an inlays guy. Like I love having the side dots, and these ones are loom inlay as well. So, because that saved my life live so many times. We're playing gigs, and the lights go down or whatever for the show, and I'm like, I can't see anything. So having the loom inlay is sick. What else I changed was we added a push. So that splits down the bridge and the neck pickup exclusively, but it doesn't affect positions 2, 3, and 4. So by doing it the way they have, it means that you can set and forget, you know? If you like the sound of the split pickups, you can do that and you still have position 2, 3, and 4 doing its thing. Cool. So position 1 is bridge, position 2 is a variation of inner and outer, position 3 is both humbuckers. Cool. Then position 4 is the other variation of inner and outer coils, and then position 5 is neck. But obviously when you split it down, you get a split bridge and neck. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you can maybe just flip through the key highlights of tones, neck humbucker, bridge humbucker, some single coils, just a quick tell and show kind of thing.
Yeah, no worries. The sound that I've got kind of dialed in isn't super high gain, but it can be that way out. So this is the bridge humbucker. So But then if you want, you can split that down. So it's kind of spanky. And then in position 2, it can be more sort of chimey and dynamic. Position 3 is kind of thick, and as I was saying earlier, it doesn't. It's not affected by the push, which I really like. And then position 3 being all the humbuckers, both humbuckers. Thicker version is a little more output because you're using both. So. And then position 4 is like a different variation of 2. And then position 5 is the neck. Which is kind of spanky as it is, but then when you split it down, I love that sort of stratty spank thing. Anyway,
yeah, I mean, well, just sitting in here, being in the room, I can feel that the pickups are like, they're very percussive. They're spanky is a good word, percussive is a good word, but not bright or harsh and not flabby on the low end. So, like, what was the process like in dialing those in?
So I'm a huge Nuno Bettencourt fan. Like, he's like, for the longest time, been like a hero of mine in terms of like his approach to playing, and he's super percussive. Like, that's his approach. So with me and the pickup design with Bare Knuckle was like, I want to be able to be percussive in my playing. It became part of the way I play as well, to be percussive. And because I played drums before I picked up the guitar, that was been my first instrument was drumming. So it's important to have the rhythm and that percussiveness in the percussivity. in the guitar and what it can do. And I also think because I like to play like heavy modern riffs and stuff with the band, but then I also like to do more like dynamic ambient kind of stuff as well. So the pickups really have to follow me into that kind of tonal quest.
Wherever you may roam.
Yeah, basically. Other big changes, I guess, the bridge. So the bridge is inspired by the JP15 bridge. Yeah. It's a lower profile, smaller unit, which I preferred to the Sabre one, which is quite a big, it's like a chamfered metal style thing. Right. And I found that when I play live, I get kind of sweaty, and I found my palm would slide a lot around on it. So we changed that to be lower profile, smaller at the JP15, because I love that guitar. And I really, really like that. I much prefer that design. I think it works with the aesthetic of the guitar really nicely. And the reason that I choose trems generally is because tonally I think it adds something. Adds like a good mid-range and sustain to the guitar, because you've got the sustain block in the back as well, you know. It's a tonal choice. I mean, people love trems for if they play with them a lot. I don't play with trems a lot, but like having it there, having the option, I like. Obviously you can dive it, or you can set it so that it would be away from the body and use it traditionally like a Strat or something like that, you know. What else did we change? We added an arm carve. The arm carve is there because on tour I found that the prototype I used doesn't have this. And like after 3 or 4 gigs, my arm was getting kind of tender, because I go kind of hard on stage, like I go in, you know. So we added this, which I really, really like, and it's totally worked. It's had the desired effect. The spoon cut, because as I said, I've got big hands, trying to play up here can be a bit cumbersome for me. But the bit that I guess took the most development at the time was this recession. of the heel. And so they recess the lower horn there, because particularly when you're changing hand position, you want that to stay out of the way. But also, this bit in particular, it's such a subtle amount different, but when I picked up the final versions of these yesterday, I noticed it straight away. Oh, nice. And it's funny, there's one of the songs I performed down there earlier, there's a lick I have to play right up here, and rehearsing on my older models, I kept messing it up, but today I was like, nailed it because of that. Because it's you know, it's the right amount for me.
Well, for all the kids at home that are looking up to you and wanting to have their own signature guitar one day, what advice would you give for those kids to sort of like get out there, you know, find their own sound, and then eventually sort of like attract an audience and attract guitar companies, etc.?
That is literally it. I feel like relationships with brands and stuff nowadays in the content creation scene are almost like expected, which I disagree with. I feel like the most important thing is to focus on, you know, your craft, being creative, going out there and doing it. Like, I've always prioritized playing gigs, playing shows, writing with the band, and creating, you know, music, being musical. And I feel like everything else is sort of comes after that, or at least for me. Yeah, just focus on what it is that excites you about what you do. Like, if you like playing gigs, go and play more gigs. Go out there and work with your band, release music, and just focus on that. All the other stuff kind of it comes to you afterwards, if you've got the right attitude. And I think it's also worth saying nowadays, you know, having social media platforms, Instagram and YouTube and stuff, it's important to create on those things and keep people involved in what it is you're doing. But I also think that being authentic and doing it for you, I feel like it's all reciprocal. If you put positive energy out there, positive intention out there with what you do, it comes back.
My last question is, just as you went into that Dallas store and you tried out that JP15 and you like sort of had this experience with it, you know, thousands of kids nationwide at guitar centers are going to go in and try out Rabea's Sabre. Yeah. So what are you sort of excited for them to experience once they get hands-on with it?
It's versatile in the way it feels, in the way it plays, and it's got a nice, universally cool look, in my opinion. Good taste, if I do say so myself.
It could take them wherever they may roam.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Rabea. This has been super cool. The new Ernie Ball Music Man Rabea Massaad Sabre is coming this spring to a guitar center near you.